There's one scene where we have a funeral. The faces in that funeral, the hardness that you see in those faces, the real Soviet look, that is something that you can never get over here in the United States.
It is in the spirit of glasnost that the Soviets allowed the filmmakers to shoot in Moscow. Schwarzenegger was also given the opportunity to travel through the city and meet the people.
I went to some discotheques to get an idea what that is like, and it was a great experience to see the differences between a Soviet discotheque and an American discotheque. I went to different bodybuilding gymnasiums, weightlifting gyms. I visited the famous weightlifting champion from the 60s, Yuri Vlasov. Really, I came back with great impressions of Moscow and the Soviet people.
It is this well-rounded view of Soviet life that Schwarzenegger drew upon in playing the role of Ivan Danko.
In most films that you see, Soviets are usually portrayed in a very negative way. So I think this will be the first film where a Soviet will come off in a very, very good way and a heroic way.
Police Captain Ivan Danko came from behind the Iron Curtain.
Danko, you're welcome.
Sergeant Art Ridzik works the Chicago beat.
You look like Marvin Hagler to me. I lost money on Hagler!
Together, they team up to track down a deadly criminal on the streets of the Windy City. Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi star in the new action thriller Red Heat.
I take care of this.
Danko's a real jokester. He's just a terrific, warm, friendly, mod haircut, slam dancer on his off hours.
How did you get that piece through customs?
Diplomatic immunity.
That restores my faith in airport security.
I am being hooked up with supposedly the worst cop of Chicago, the biggest screw-up. You try.
Where is the locker that this key opens?
Свою маму.
What do you say?
Go and kiss your mothers behind.
Come here!
The contrast in characters was something both actors considered in physically preparing for the film.
At the beginning of the film, I was actually about 10 pounds lighter. And when Arnold came, the first thing he did is he looked me up and down and said, "You are too thin. I thought you were going to be this big, beefy Chicago cop." And ever since then, he's been slowly feeding me cookies. You know, every day at 3 o'clock when the cookies come out, he goes, Jim!
He's an easy victim.
Oh, man.
In the film, Danko decides to change his own look when he arrives in Chicago from Moscow.
Well, this uniform is okay. You know, it's the undercover uniform that he changes into, which is really spectacular.
What, do you retire your uniform?
I now work undercover.
Undercover? You look like Gumby. Yeah, you're gonna fit right in.
I mean, basically, he makes fun of me
Yeah,
all the way through the film.
all the way through the film.
The clash in cultures is apparent, even in routine police business.
They have a different framework of rules. They don't have the Miranda Act.
In this country, we try to protect the rights of individuals. It's called the Miranda Act, and it says that you can't even touch his ass.
I do not want to touch his ass. I want to make him talk.
I'm gonna handle this one, okay?
He tries to protect me not to break the law, and of course it never works.
And we want to ask you a couple questions about the Cleanheads. Capitalism works, right, Streak?
Cleanhead's got a monster deal going down. I told Gallagher, end of story.
Where is Victor? I take his head and smash it down on the table and almost break his whole face. And
like,
he
"What are you
says,
doing?
what are you doing? I told you. I said, I did not touch his ass.
Danko and Ridzik disagree not only on police procedures, but also on other equally important issues, like weapons.
Well, this is a pretty big gun. You have yours?
Your gun, Captain. Now!
Soviet bought Byron 9.2 millimeter. Is much bigger.
No, this is this is a Magnum 44, the most powerful handgun in the world.
Come on, everyone knows the Magnum 44 is the big boy in the block. Why do you think Dirty Harry uses it?
Who is Dirty Harry?
Red Heat, Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi bridge the gap between East and West, and the future of law enforcement may never be the same.
You know what we call this? This is called chicken. We're not supposed to play with boxes.
You did not make it, Victor.
Hello, Vanya.
Back off, Captain. He killed a Chicago police officer. Chicago gets him first.
I have my orders.
Two cops from different cultures reluctantly team up to catch a killer in the new film Red Heat, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi.
Take it, move!
As Captain Ivan Danko, Schwarzenegger plays a heroic Russian cop, one who doesn't fit the usual Soviet stereotype.
In most films that you see, Soviets are usually portrayed a very negative way, and in this film we don't get into the political situation at all. I played a hero. So I always want to make sure that when I played a hero that I played in a positive way, and so I think this will be the first film where a Soviet will come off in a very, very good way and a heroic way.
James Belushi brings his own personal style to the role of Art Ridzik, an unpredictable cop in the Chicago force.
I always wanted to do a cop. I always wanted to do a Chicago street cop. Don't get nervous. I do this for a living. I like to blend my personality with the character's personality.
You look like Marvin Hagler to me. I lost money on Hagler.
So a lot of it's me. Just me.
For Belushi, a highlight of working on the film was shooting an action scene on the streets of Chicago.
I got to run down the middle of Randolph and LaSalle. It's a big intersection in the middle of Chicago. I got to run down the street, jump over a car, stand in the middle, and pull off 4 shots off a .44 Magnum, you know. Right here in the city, you know, you get tickets for jaywalking.
On the other side of the globe, Schwarzenegger faced an even greater challenge in filming a fight scene in sub-zero temperatures.
We found a specific area in Austria where there was 6-7 foot snow, and we went there with our crew and shot there in 4 days. And that was quite an experience because I've really never done a fight scene in the snow where you slip around and where you freeze continuously.
It is with very different backgrounds that Danko and Ridzik joined forces in Chicago. Many cultural barriers come between them.
You know, in this country, we trust our partners.
What is important is to show the relationship, how 2 police officers break down all those barriers, and they really get into a nice relationship, you know, although there is some competition there throughout the film.
Captain Danko, you are now the proud owner of the most powerful handgun in the world.
Soviet Potpourri 9.2 millimeter is world's most powerful handgun.
Come on, everyone knows the Magnum 44 is the big boy in the black. Why do you think Dirty Harry uses it?
Who is Dirty Harry?
In working together, Schwarzenegger and Belushi established their own brand of humor.
If you keep it real, the humor will come out of it. Because with comedy, you can really, if you get a little silly, then all the real stuff, you know, sounds like...
Ridzik, we must go now.
Excuse me.
In Red Heat, Arnold Schwarzenegger and James Belushi have found the perfect blend of action and comedy.
I take care of this.
I give up. This whole thing's very Russian.